Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and you might notice that the title of today's presentation has changed. Unfortunately, the speaker we had booked today to talk about owls of New York woke up under the weather, so we are in the process of rescheduling that talk. So, unfortunately, she couldn't join us this morning. So, we punted and we're doing Plan B, and we're giving you guys an update about some of the local birds that have been flowing in, and thankfully there has been quite a few different ones. So hopefully you'll see some pictures here of birds that you didn't realize have been coming into the area. So like I said, we will reschedule the Owls of New York presentation, and we will get back to you shortly on when that date will be. But as always, we love to know if you are on. You can always say hi in the comments, ask us any kind of questions you have, and if you have any sightings, we'd love to know those. If you've seen any kind of nesting activity, we've gotten some reports of those kind of things. That's been pretty fun. If you've heard birds singing, what kind of birds are you hearing? All that good stuff. And we'll get started. So we've got a few things going on at the birdhouse, as always. We've got our caption contest going for the store. This is the fourth one, I believe, that we have had going on. And the idea here is we have different photos from our photo contests that we have put up on our Facebook page, some that have been quite entertaining and quite fun. And the idea is you want to come up with your best creative, humorous, silliest caption you can for the image and put those in the comments of the thread of the caption contest. And at the end of the week, the caption with the most reactions, whether it be likes or little emojis, that person will win a $25 gift certificate to the birdhouse. So this is our photo for the caption contest going on right now. So pretty creative photo there, which is a lot of fun. So you can enter by finding this post on our Facebook page. It's pinned right up at the top, and you can come up with your silliest or most creative caption for this photo for a chance to win. Absolutely free to enter, of course, and you could win a $25 gift certificate to the birdhouse. And then we have some other events going. This Saturday, you can meet a possum and a milk snake. We'll have both of them here at the birdhouse. Wild Wings has now expanded, and they not only have birds of prey at their facility, but in their nature center, they have some other mammals, amphibians, reptiles, a couple of them, which will be visiting the store. So we will be having one of their opossums and their milk snake visit here at the birdhouse for an hour between 1 and 2 this Saturday. So that's something to look forward to as well, and to mark your calendars. And then the following Saturday, for those of you who have shopped at the birdhouse before, you've probably seen these beautiful glass enameled sculptures that we carry. It's a company called Bovano of Cheshire. It's all handmade in the US, really beautiful stuff. And every year we've had the owner of the company come to the store for a trunk show, and he sets up big panels and brings in all different kinds of art pieces. So it's a beautiful show to even come just see. But of course, pieces will be for sale as well. And if you have a piece already that you've purchased, you can bring it in, and the owner of the company will sign it for you. So you can have your pieces signed by the artist. And we will also be raffling off a piece as well. So no purchase necessary. You can enter to win a Bovano piece. And that Saturday, we will be streaming live, showing the different kinds of beautiful artwork that he has brought in. So that's another thing you can mark your calendars here for. But as far as local birding updates, over the past week, we've gotten lots of reports. It's amazing how just in 1 week so much can change. Bluebirds are absolutely starting to show nesting behavior. They are going in and out of houses. It's been reported that they've had some nesting material that they're bringing in. So they're definitely starting to look for places to nest. So if you have had good experience with bluebirds in the past, absolutely make sure your houses are out now. They are looking for places to start that nesting for the year. So Again, bluebirds, not everybody can get them because they do like a wide open habitat, usually. Just like everything else, it's not 100%, but they do like kind of open space. And so if you have a lot of trees around, you might not be able to attract the bluebirds, but you can always put out a house and see how it goes. And they also will nest in natural cavities. So if you have woodpecker holes in some trees around your property, keep an eye out on those holes. You might see bluebirds popping in and out of those, or other cavity nesting species like our chickadees, nuthatches, woodpeckers are another one. So keep your eyes out. And tree swallows. So talk about birds that are starting to migrate into the area. Over the last few days, there's been reports of tree swallows. So they're making their way back here. And tree swallows also will nest in bluebird boxes. So if you have some boxes out, and you're getting a bird that's blue, but it's not a blue bird, it is very likely to be one of these tree swallows. So they are just coming back into the area now. So it's a sign that spring is definitely here. We're starting to get some new and different birds that haven't been around here over the past couple of weeks, and tree swallows are one of them. And of course, if you have birdhouses out, especially if you don't have a huge wide open field, if you do have kind of a mixed habitat, be on the lookout for house sparrows. They are also starting to nest. People are reporting them bringing nesting material to different places, whether it be a birdhouse or awnings or anything like that. The house sparrows are showing signs of that nesting behavior as well right now. So this is your typical male house sparrow here, and he's got a little bit of nesting material in his mouth. So one product we've been selling a lot of over the past week is our nesting balls, which are all natural cotton, and the birds will pick out that cotton and they'll bring it to build their nest or to line their nest. So those have been really, really popular. One thing to keep in mind is to stay away from dryer lint. Again, it's not known if chemicals used in cleaning your laundry, if that can harm the birds in any way. So you want to stay away from dryer lint as far as putting it out for the birds. But some birds you might see if you're out and about or even in your backyard, mockingbirds. So there's been some reports of mockingbirds here all winter. Some people were seeing them coming to their feeders and whatnot, and that seems to be growing. There seems to be more people reporting mockingbirds. One way to tell you have a mockingbird is first listen. They do a lot of singing, and they tend to repeat songs in groups of 3. So they will mimic other birds and repeat their songs, but they do of 3. So they'll sing one song 3 times in general and then move on to the next song, which they will sing 3 times in a row in general and then move on. So that's one way to tell you do have a mockingbird, especially as we get more into the spring. They'll be more and more vocal. And when you see them fly, that's another way you can tell you have a mockingbird, because they have these bright white patches on their wings, which are very, very distinctive. So if you see these bright white patches of a bird, it's about robin sized or so, that's going to be your mockingbird. So they're in the same family as the gray catbird and as the brown thrasher, and haven't had reports of them yet, but it's only a matter of time. So that is your mockingbird. And American woodcock are coming back into the area. We had a customer call on Saturday, and she said, there's some kind of strange bird in my backyard. I have no idea what it is. She was thinking maybe it was some kind of an escaped quail. Had no idea. So she came in, brought in a picture. This isn't her picture, but it was a picture of an American woodcock, and she had it in her backyard just under a pine tree. And American woodcock are coming back into the area. There's been reports of them scattered around town, and they're in the shorebird family. So they've got that really long beak, but you don't really see them around the shore. You're going to see them more in open fields and in the woods. And that's where they will use that long beak that they have to probe into the soil in general, where they are getting worms and that kind of thing. So that is the American woodcock. And so if you see a bird that looks like this, that's very, very camouflaged with a long beak and kind of stumpy legs for a shorebird, it's probably them. They will have this amazing display come April. They'll start this really beautiful aerial display, which we'll talk about a little bit more as we get closer, but really cool bird. And they blend in very, very well. So keep a lookout under your trees if you've got any kind of wooded area in your backyard, or when you're out hiking, they can blend in super, super well. I've walked right past one on a trail once, and it took me a minute. I had to do a double take. There was one right next to the trail. So really cool little bird here. And speaking of shorebirds, people are getting, this is a killdeer, and killdeers are absolutely being reported. And I heard one fly over my house last week at some point in the morning. And they have a really distinctive call. It sounds like they're saying killdeer, killdeer, killdeer. So that's how they get their name. But this is another shorebird that you can see by the shore, but you can also see them in open areas. We had one of the people who was in the broadcast, I believe last week, said they saw some in a new development where there's not a lot of grass or lawn or anything like that, where there's kind of a rocky substrate. That's where you can find these killdeer. Same with parking lots, so you can find them around there too. I'll play you their call. This is the call of the killdeer. So it sounds like they're saying killdeer, killdeer, killdeer. So that is the killdeer, and they are coming back into the area as well. So keep an eye out for them. They're a really cool little bird. And phoebes. So it's that time of the year again where people are starting to report the phoebes coming back. And phoebes, I tend to hear them before I see them. They are in the flycatcher family, kind of a nondescript type bird. You know, they don't have any kind of bright, showy coloration, but they do have a call that kind of sounds like their name, just like the killdeer, where it sounds like they're saying Phoebe. And so here is the call of the eastern phoebe. So keep your ears open for this when you're outside as well. So this is your phoebe, and they are coming back into town as well. So pretty cool. And then the meadowlark. So meadowlarks are a really, really cool bird. At this point, they're pretty rare as well. They are going through some pretty steep decline. They are one of these grassland birds that are losing a lot of habitat. But there have been some heard and seen around. The Hawkwatch platform is a good place to see these guys, where there's some open area there. They've been reported there. When I was out, I guess it was last Thursday, cleaning out some Bluebird boxes about an hour south of here. My Merlin app caught one on its the audio, so I could hear something calling. I pulled up my Merlin app to record and listen and identify what it is I was hearing, and sure enough, it was an eastern meadowlark. It eluded me as far as seeing it this time, but it was around and it was calling. So this is an eastern meadowlark, and you can find them usually perched on something. So if you're in a grassland environment and there's, some kind of a post like the photo shows here, or some longer grasses, a lot of these grassland birds will perch on top and sing and sing and sing. And so this is the song of the eastern meadowlark. I thought I'd play that for you right now as well. So if you do have an open field, when we're talking about bluebirds, and if you have boxes out, keep your ear open and keep your eyes open, because you might just see some eastern meadowlarks. So really cool bird to see. Very, very beautiful birds. And song sparrows, more and more song sparrows being reported. I had one in my backyard last week, which was the first time I've ever seen one there. So that was pretty cool. So more and more song sparrows being reported. And this is their typical stance. So if you see a small sparrow perched on top of something, just singing its little heart out, that is going to most likely be your song sparrow. And golden crown kinglet. If you see almost warbler like behavior of a little bird or a group of little birds bouncing around in trees, it's probably going to be a golden crowned kinglet. They're small, they move around a lot, and they've been reported in the area as well. And then as far as your sightings, we've had some things sent in. So we have to postpone our owl talk today, but there are owls out there. This is a picture sent in by Mark of a saw-whet owl. And also, he got a photo of a long-eared owl, and he said long-eared owl was a bonus to see, as people said it was very rare to see since it was a lot lower in the tree. Normally, they're 30 to 40 feet higher in the trees, taken from a distance. So right now there are owls coming through. It's owl migration time out at Owl Woods. So birds like this saw-whet owl and the long-eared owl are flowing through the area. And one thing to definitely keep in mind is that they are migrating. So they will migrate during the night, and then they'll perch during the day on these trees where they need to rest and recharge for their migration. So if you do go out to look for these birds, definitely keep a distance. If you see them move or if you see them look at you, you're probably too close and they've been disturbed. So you want to make sure you keep a big distance from these birds and let them get the rest that they need to continue on their migration. So Mark was lucky enough to see a long-eared owl, and it sounds like it was pretty low in the tree, which is rare because they are usually very, very high up in the tree. The saw-whet owls tend to be more at your eye level, so they tend to be, a few feet up in the trees, 5, 6, 7, 10 feet up in the tree. But the long-eared owl will be way higher up in the trees. So that is your long-eared owl right there. So really cool bird to see. And here's a photo sent in by Bob. He said of a house finch, but this is kind of a different colored house finch. He says, I haven't really seen color variations in house finches, but this male was definitely more on the orange side of the color spectrum. Very cool to see. So some house finch activity out there in Bob's yard. And yeah, this finch does look a little bit yellowish or more orangish than your typical male house finch will. And look at this photo sent in by Ed of some turkeys. He says, we've been seeing a flock of a dozen or so turkeys around the neighborhood more frequently this year, but this was the first time we've seen a male in such display. He was pretty obviously in courting mode, following a few females around closely, displaying all of his fine breeding plumage. There are some pretty big birds, but they can literally disappear into the woods in seconds because they have very good camouflage. So here's a couple photos that Ed got of turkeys in his neighborhood. So really, really cool photo there. And Mark sent in a bunch of pictures here of his different birding adventures around town. Here's some birds that he saw at Kings Bend Park. And the first photo here is a pair of ring-necked ducks. So there's still lots of fun waterfowl out there right now. Some blue-winged teal are starting to be seen in the area, wood duck, and then we have these ringneck ducks that have been around, and they are still being found here at Kingsman Park and other places around town. And here is a photo of a bufflehead, another waterfowl species that he was lucky to see, and the song sparrow. So we were just talking about the song sparrow, and here is a photo that he was able to capture. And there it is in its typical stance, perched on a branch, or it looks like it could be grapevine here, and just singing its little heart out. So that is the song sparrow. Red-winged blackbird, lots of people getting red-winged blackbirds in their yards and at their feeders, and they're really starting to flow into the area now. If you go by any kind of water or wetland, you'll probably see and hear the red-winged blackbirds. And then here's another house finch. So we just saw Bob's photo of a house finch that was kind of an orangish yellowish color. But here is another house finch here that was seen at Kingsbend Park. And then the hooded merganser too. So here's a neat photo of the hooded merganser, both male and female. Looks like taking flight, possibly. So they're another waterfowl species that we have here in the area, and quite distinctive looking. So really neat little birds. And around Lock 32, you got some photos of here's a turkey vulture. And I've noticed over the past week, lots of turkey vulture are coming back into the area. So if you see a bird soaring in the air that's kind of unsteady and rocking back and forth, not flapping its wings a lot, that's going to be your turkey vulture. So here is that photo. And then he saw some killdeer as well. So you can see it's kind of around that rocky type of substrate. Here's the killdeer in flight. And then it is probing. That's what that's what these shorebirds do. In order to feed, they'll probe into the sand or the soil and get little macroinvertebrates that are up in there. So here is the killdeer that he happened to see as well. And then finally, it says a few long-tailed ducks still around Irondequoit Bay Pier. So these long-tailed ducks are birds that we have in our winter months, and there's still some hanging around here. So if you haven't gone out to see them, you still have a little bit of more time before they migrate further north for the spring and summer. And not birding related, but we are starting to get into that mason bee season. They'll start to emerge from their homes soon. So if you're looking to attract mason bees to your yard, now's the time to think about putting up a house. They'll start to emerge usually early April. So we probably have about maybe like 2 weeks or so to go, but it will be soon that they start to emerge. So you do want to make sure you have your house out by then. So I would say absolutely by the first week of April, make sure you have your mason bee house out. Sooner the better, just so you know it's up. And in case they start to emerge early, they've got a place to go and lay their eggs. But mason bees are going to be out soon, where they will pollinate for several weeks before leaving all their eggs and pupa in the houses that are ready to hatch for the next year. So that's something else to keep in mind if you want to attract native pollinators to your house. Now's the time to put out that mason bee house. So that is everything I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining me for our plan B today. And like I said, we will reschedule that owls talk. So keep your eye out on the calendar for that, and we'll announce when we do reschedule that. But if you have any kind of questions, you can absolutely put those in the comments, or you can always just say hi. Randy says, titmouse is loud for a small bird. Seen one in a neighbor's tree. Think it was one of a pair 2 weeks ago. Yeah, the titmouse are quite loud. So if you think of the cardinal, they have a pretty distinctive call, a pretty loud whistle, and so do the titmice. And let me see if I can pull up here. Here's the sound of the tufted titmouse. Their call is also a nice clear whistle, and it sounds like they're saying Peter, Peter, Peter. So here's a titmouse call. And so one thing I guess I should bring up too, so if you do hear a bird and you're not sure what it is, which I did myself last week, I can't express just how much this app is awesome. So this is the app called Merlin by Cornell Lab of Ornithology. And they have a sound ID feature now where if you are hearing a bird calling, but you don't know what it is, you click sound ID. It'll listen to the bird, and if it can identify it, which it's gotten really good at doing, it'll tell you exactly what that bird is. So that's what I did last week, and that's how I found out that I had that eastern meadowlark was of that call. So it's a really great tool. And I found that it's a great way to learn your bird calls. It can be hard to learn bird calls when you're on the fly if you don't know what you're hearing. So it's a great tool, and it's absolutely free. So that's the Merlin app. Stephania says, I'm hoping to see a mockingbird in the Hamburg area. I'm from Texas and missing my singing mockingbirds so badly. Yeah, if you go out enough, you might not get them in your backyard. They can be hit or miss. Your best bet to get them in your backyard is to put out jelly, like an Oriole feeder, and mockingbirds will sometimes come to them. But if you're in the Hamburg area, they're definitely around. So they're there for you. Randy says, heard 2 killdeer 2 days ago, mourning doves and cardinals. Robins have visited the yard. So a nice group and a nice mix of different birds coming to Randy's yard. Sally says, "Good morning. I picked up a bag of your spicy bugs, nuts, and fruit mix yesterday to discourage an aggressive, hungry squirrel that has been raiding a feeder. Happy to report it works great and funny to watch him turn around in disgust. We also had an orange colored house finch and a pair of song sparrows. Yeah, spring." So, yes, we do have a seed blend called Flaming Hot Feast. And it's, if you're familiar with our bugs, nuts, and fruit blend, which we talk about quite a bit here, it's basically that, except it has some hot sauce mixed in with it. The idea being the squirrels can taste the hot sauce, they don't like it, but the birds can't. So I'm glad to hear that that worked to discourage the squirrel. And it sounds like Sally also has an orangish colored house finch in her yard, just like Bob does from this photo. So pretty cool sightings. Julie says, "Good morning, joining a little bit late. Good morning, Julie." Stephanie says, "So exciting to see such a variety in our area. My yard is urban, but I enjoy a good selection. I hear a call I can't identify. It sounds like Liberty, 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 or T or D. So the Liberty, 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 I'm not sure. If you can get a recording of it, we can probably ID it. Cardinals can have a lot of different songs too. It could be a cardinal song if it sounds kind of like a whistle. The T or D could be a chickadee, possibly, because they have some different kind of whistles and calls. So I'm not quite sure, but if you can get even a video where it has the audio aspect of it, we might be able to identify it for you. Or it could be, now that I'm kind of like talking out loud, it could be a Carolina wren, now that I'm thinking about it, because they have some different calls that sounds like that could possibly be. Let me pull up their call here, and they have a bunch of different calls too, but they tend to be kind of quick, fast paced, and kind of sing songy. So here's one. So this is a Carolina wren, and they've been quite vocal. So now that I'm kind of talking out loud, that might be my best guess of what it could be. But yeah, let us know if that sounds like anything that you've been hearing. Julie says, "I've been getting a woodpecker at my suet with a red head. Is that a red-bellied?" Probably, most likely. We do have a red-headed woodpecker that has a full red head. If it has red on its head that kind of stretches back, that's probably a red-bellied woodpecker. So it sounds like it. That would be my best guess. And they're a pretty cool bird, pretty large bird, and really neat to see at your suet feeder. So that's a great one. Richard says, "I have the Merlin Bird ID app, and I agree that has been great work for Sound ID as an excellent guide." Yes, yeah, I agree. And so it wasn't commercially available at this time last year. It didn't really hit until the summer. So I'm really excited to use that Sound ID feature this year during spring migration. I'm sure there's so many things out there that are around, and I've completely missed them because I don't see them. So I'm excited to use that. And Stephanie says, "Thank you. I think you're right about Carolina wren." Okay. Phew. All right. So it sounds like Stephanie has a Carolina wren singing, which could be. We have one behind the store that's been just singing its heart out, and every day it's back there singing, and sometimes it does sound a little bit different. It's not always the same call. So pretty fun stuff. So that is everybody's comments and questions. It looks like we will not be live, unfortunately, on Saturday, as I'm leading an owl prowl over at Braddock Bay for the Rochester Birding Association. Unfortunately, it has reached max occupancy, but after the walk, we will be at the Hawk Watch platform. So if you want to pop in and say hi, we'll probably be there around 10 o'clock. And if it coincides with that time, we'll do a live stream from there, from our normal live stream time. Otherwise, just pop in and say hi. It's always pretty active with people there out at Braddock Bay. So absolutely join us on Saturday for the Hawk Watch platform. And then you can pop into the birdhouse and see that opossum and milk snake that we'll have here from Wild Wings. And until then, we will be here looking for any kinds of new reports that you guys have of birds. Enjoy your birds. Let us know what kind of things you're seeing, and we'll talk to you soon.